SKU numbers translate to like a Russian website for child trafficking. So there's a conspiracy that you weren't buying a cabinet. Inside the cabinet was a woman or child that was being sold online.
Hmm.
Pretty much a child trafficking ploy.
Yeah.
It's been debunked,
Oh,
but
it's been debunked. Okay, because like my first thing would be like, okay, well, how does the transaction process of a $16,000 furniture, like, how would you go about that, right? Do you put the girl in the van along with the furniture, and it's like, oh,
no,
here you go, and here's a gift.
no, they were inside. So apparently, I think this was false as well. There was people who worked for Wayfair that would say there was times where the cabinets were heavier than usual and the inspections were skipped, and it was like a rush job to get them on a truck for transport.
Hmm. Okay.
It was a whole big thing.
Yeah.
It
And
came out like 2 days ago. And apparently, they're just that expensive because they're very industrial cabinets.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's an interesting way to go about it, right? To have like a company like Wayfair just kind of do its thing, and then kind of sell like a SKU that goes in tandem with a Russian website. I mean, that's definitely coincidence heavy.
Yeah. Apparently, you couldn't find that SKU number like if you Googled it, but if you went like through some Russian channel,
Hmm.
it pops up and
Hmm.
has pictures of kids.
Hmm. Hmm. It's interesting. I don't know. I feel like the mechanism for which we find patterns as humans kind of leads us down to like ridiculous conclusions. I mean, I don't know if you've heard of Pizzagate. You know about that one?
I do not.
Okay, so Pizzagate was a conspiracy that basically like Hillary Clinton and like all of her elites were all like child pedophiles, right? And the way that they operated was through like this small pizza company that worked as a front in Washington D.C. And I could be getting like the story wrong because I haven't really looked into it, but essentially the way that it works is that you go into this you go to this pizza place, or you call in to this pizza place, and the pizza, and you'll like order like a weird pizza, right? And then the pizza comes out, and it's actually child trafficking, right? So like this little girl comes out, and it's like, oh yeah, like I just bought this one, okay, right? So like the money was laundered through this pizza company, and a lot of really crazy people believed this conspiracy so much that they actually went to the pizza place and started like throwing things at the pizza place and kind of like getting attention of like cops and stuff like that. It was kind of wild. It was around the time of the last election.
Gotcha. Well, we all know that it's not a pizza place. It's actually Epstein's Island,
Yeah, that's
where
that.
where
That
Clinton and everyone else does it from.
yeah, the Lolita Express, as they say. That is pretty interesting. I'm actually really mad that he quote unquote suicided. Sure. I don't believe that for 1 second. If we really want to go with conspiracies, Epstein didn't kill himself. That's just the way that works.
No, he didn't. Well, now they have his partner, so I don't think they can get away with the suicide this time.
Yeah, that would be pretty interesting to see what
Like
happens to her. And
a- any form of her death is just gonna be too much of a red flag. Too much.
yeah, but if you think about it, right? Let's say there was a conspiracy to kill Epstein's partner, right? They could do it the exact same way, and I think the majority of the people who are kind of like following the story, they know that it's like, okay, this is ridiculous, right? And you can do either one of two things. You can be like, okay, whatever, or you can just yammer on the internet, "Oh, Epstein didn't do it," right? Because what are you gonna do? Like the actors that are involved with Epstein's apparent suicide are way too big for you to even kind of try to get some kind of investigation going, and you don't have the support because if you want to travel the conspiracy train, basically what ends up happening is that you find major companies with major brands and major CEOs. They all talk to each other, and they all have like a vested interest to keep each other safe. So they're just going to shut up about it. You know what I mean?
So, but to have the guards fall asleep in like missing footage
No, no, no.
is, is too coincidental. But to have it happen again
Mm-hmm.
after it's like, all right, we saw this before, it cannot happen again, and for them to manage to kill themselves is too is just too much of a red flag.
Yeah, it would be like if I was some kind of serial mastermind guy trying to get rid of people who are willing to talk. I wouldn't do it the same way twice, but you could probably get away with a different version of it. And if I'm going to be honest, like the whole suicide thing, there's enough reasonable doubt for people to be like, okay, maybe he didn't. You know what I mean? Maybe he actually, or maybe he did actually commit suicide. You never know one way or the other because there's conflicting evidence on both sides, and whatever happened, the investigation onto what happened to Jeffrey Epstein will never be released to the public for 40, 50 years. We still don't know what happened to Kennedy.
I don't think that was any conspiracy. I think he was pretty much assassinated. But with Epstein, is too. Oh, okay. I can see if he tried to kill himself, and they're like, "Oh crap, we have to go and stop this," and they couldn't stop it in time. But the guards being asleep when it happened for a 30-minute period,
Yeah.
that was just a blind eye.
Well,
Either they let it happen or they did it themselves.
yeah. No, I mean, I don't doubt it. The thing is that what's a good way to say this? A good way to explain this properly.
But you know what?
Hmm.
I think if she doesn't quote unquote commit suicide, it'd
Hmm.
probably be killed in prison.
Hmm.
Now, I can see many people in prison wanting to keep them alive for just the fact that they can stir up the pot and put people in power behind bars.
Yeah.
Because what else do you want as a criminal? To see your president, governors, and other politicians be put in jail too?
Yeah. No. Oh, okay. So the thing that I was trying to mention, right? So Kennedy, the thing about Kennedy and the thing about Lee Harvey Oswald is that Oswald was part of a group called like the free something to Cuba. I forgot 100% what it was, but essentially the party was advocating, or the group was advocating for uh, Cuba as its current state, which was a communist state, to be to not have sanctions put on it, right? Because at the time sanctions were put on to um, sanctions were put on because they turned up to be a communist state with Fidel Castro, right? And
Yeah,
so the conspiracy, or the most general conspiracy, is Lee Harvey Oswald did not act alone, but instead he was instructed by communist actors to assassinate the president. That is the most plausible conspiracy. There's a bunch of other ones about the his shot and how like the angle trajectory doesn't make any sense, da da da, da, and so there's the gunman on the grassy knoll, all that stuff. But like the real conspiracy in my mind is they did not want the president of the United States to be assassinated by somebody that was paid for by the Russians. Because imagine the destabilization effect that would have on the American populace at the time. Like right at the height of the Cold War, right after the Cuban Missile Crisis, and then all of a sudden your president gets assassinated. And you find out that the Russians had a hand in it. That's going to be a very interesting time to try to like lock everything down. So the government, what they ended up doing was they're like, okay, we're just going to say that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, and therefore, yeah, it's a tragedy that President Kennedy was assassinated, but it was just some lone actor. He was acting on his own accord. He didn't have any government backing him for any reason, and we can move on with our lives.
Of
Basically.
course, it's the same way that we send people into South American countries to perform a hit.
Yeah.
Changing power. Yeah, we didn't have any part in that, or some other entity didn't. But let's face it. These countries are sending assassins
Mm-hmm.
overseas, or hiring them from overseas to do their dirty work and take the fall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean that's going to be an interesting. They resealed. I think it was up for debate as to whether or not to unseal the documents, and President Trump ended up resealing the documents for like another like 10 to 15 years or something like that. So that's really annoying because it's just not like I kind of want to know 100% what happened, you know, because I mean it's over 50 years old. I mean you might as well just be like, okay, this is what happened. The end.
Ooh, excuse me. Is this thing up yet or not?
Oh yeah, it's been up
Oh,
for 12 minutes.
well then. Well, we had no introduction.
No,
We
no,
always
we
have to
just I
introduce
thought it
ourselves.
was an interesting conversation, so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna hit record and see what happens. Hey,
Well, hey, well, welcome to Peeps Podcast. This is Jay Mays.
wait, it was the Padcast
Did I say podcast? I meant podcast.
podcast. Yeah,
Yeah,
the Peeps Podcast. Jay Mays and Gemini here, still trying to figure out what the hell happened to Kennedy, and Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. I'm pretty sure that just by saying that, YouTube will ban me because it's against the narrative. But you never know. Hopefully, I still maintain my YouTube Premium service, and I still don't get ads. But
well, you still have two more strikes to make a difference.
yeah, right. That was an interesting time. But on the plus side, as you can see, we have the new banner, new logo, completely original, completely dependent on the Peeps Discord. So if you're listening and you think you want to play some games with us, you should definitely take a look at the Peeps Discord, which this whole thing originated from.
Absolutely. And by the way, if you've been listening to us and you like what we're doing, go ahead and take that alcoholic beverage you have in your hand and throw it at the like button. And
Throw it
if,
at the like button and subscribe.
well, I was going to say, by the end of this, if you like what we're doing even more, go ahead and stagger over and just go ahead and punch that subscribe button so you can keep on listening to us.
That is absolutely true. Also, on the Peeps podcast, I just noticed that there is a live on Twitch channel. So, if you are a Twitch fangirl or a Twitch e-girl, we definitely recommend you come in and join in on Discord. That way, we can look at you while watching Twitch. And because frankly, I'm tired of seeing Gnarly on Twitch because all he does is play games, and that's not what I'm about on Twitch. Twitch, I kind of want e-girls to show partial snippets of their cleavage, and then me donate thousands of dollars to them. That would be the
Uh,
ideal situation.
and in turn, they become our sponsors. So we were sponsored by eGirls on Twitch this week.
This week, we are sponsored by random e-girls on Twitch who don't actually give us money, but give us a little bit of skin. Yes, I like that.
Yep. Yep. You know, that's what it takes for a little bit of growth.
That's true. That's true.
But
So,
yes,
mm,
but we always must have a disclaimer that we actually aren't sponsored by anybody, but we do
nah, we're too small.
like we do like to promote a sponsor to sponsor us in the
Yes,
future.
absolutely.
At each episode.
Yep.
So I would actually like to get started with my POW person of the week
Okay.
for the
Yeah, go
first
for it.
time. Usually it's famous people that aren't famous, but this person was actually famous, well, pretty well known. In our day and age, we may not know this person, and I do want to say for the hundreds of people that have contacted me with suggestions and correcting accuracies that I have found. Um, just for now, hold off on the emails. We're still trying to get this kind of more streamlined, and at that point, I'll be able to answer all of your emails I've been getting and produce something a little bit better. So this week it is a person of the week, and it is Heidi Lamar.
Who
Ever heard of
is?
her?
I have no idea who that is.
All right, she is a Jewish actress from Austria. Born in excuse me, born in 1914.
This is
Fled
already taking a
Austria.
dark turn. But go on.
Well, she was an actress over there for a little bit of time in the 30s, and then made her way out from Austria. She fled her husband
Hmm.
and met up with someone in Paris, and then London, where she met Louis B. Mayer, who was head of Metro Goldwyn Mayer or MGM Studios,
Hmm.
and he brought her out to Hollywood to be an actress.
Okay, so she was an actress before in Austria, and then she ended up like moving to the states, and she became
Yep,
an actress after the fact. Okay.
yep, and she was brought over with the headline of the most beautiful woman. That was like her title,
Okay.
most beautiful, or world's most beautiful woman.
Hold on.
And
Let me search who this person is. Let me give my opinion.
so I might be a little bit biased towards Jewish women in general, but I can agree that she is very attractive.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey, that is it's my thing, all right. That's my
okay. So
personal attraction.
I'm looking at a few, pictures of her, just cursory Google search, and I think what's throwing me off is the kind of like 30s and 40s style, which I'm not the biggest fan of. You know what I mean?
I know what you
Um,
mean.
no, wait. I actually let me rephrase that. I do like the 30s and 40s style, but it's her specific style that I'm not the biggest fan of. Right? So, for example, like the main picture here, I will let me, of course, let's do this. Let's do open link.
So originally I was pronouncing her name Hetty because Hedy, but my wife corrected me in saying that it was Heidi.
Oh, word. Okay.
Yeah. So Heidi Lamar, so she was an actress for 30 years solid.
This is what I'm looking
She
at.
also she also did her own production, which was yep, that's her.
Mm-hmm.
She did her own production in Hollywood and stuff, which was kind of frowned upon because they really didn't like women doing that. But what she also had as a side hobby, she was a bit of a inventor on the side.
Hmm.
So after Hollywood, she spent more time actually inventing than anything else.
Okay.
So, like I said, she was really famous in her time. So she's not someone that's famous that wasn't famous. She was definitely famous.
Okay.
And so one of the things that she did um, towards inventing. was she worked with this one man named oh, where's his name? I want to say that it was Hughes, Hughes,
Hmm.
Howard Hughes. He was also in the Hollywood scene, but he was also an aviation tycoon.
Okay.
And what she did with him was suggested that taking planes instead of the block style they used to have it more streamlined. Like, and she got that idea from like fish and birds, the way the wings and their bodies are,
Hmm.
and apply that to aviation. And while they were dating, he pretty much had a whole team in his pocket that said, whatever she wants to do it for her. So she had a bit of a contribution to aviation, but her biggest thing is frequency hopping spread spectrum.
Okay.
I'm sure you know what that is, right?
Absolutely not.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's the idea when you're sending signals, you have a spectrum, and if instead of just going off of one stream within a sub spectrum or frequency, your signal is hopping across all these other streams within that spectrum. And
Okay.
the purpose of it is during that time, World War II,
Mm-hmm.
um, any radio frequency going out could be intercepted and also jammed.
Hmm.
So when she came up, so wasn't a new idea. It was something Tesla had worked with, and I think someone else before him. But her specific one had 88 different frequencies based off of a piano roll, and you set up a code. So you'll start here, you'll jump to like from 1 to 5 to 87 to 13, and it just jumps between all these different numbers.
Hmm.
And it was a patent idea back in the 40s, and it was for the purpose of torpedoes
Okay.
that she pitched to the Navy.
Hmm.
Now, at the time, the military did not like any ideas that came from outside the military, so they never used it.
Hmm.
But the idea is you launch your torpedo, and they cannot get a fix on that signal because it's hopping between all these different frequencies.
Hmm.
Um, so it's really cool, and it wasn't until I want to say the 80s um, that it actually the patent came back up. Well, let me see. So it was adapted in the 50s for sonar buoys, which are buoys that send out sonar signals
Okay.
and stuff like that. And but that patent was also denied by the Navy and stuff
Hmm.
like that. It was updated in the 60s during the Cuban Missile Crisis, and can't believe I can't find my notes on this. Anyways, you were saying I want to say it was the 80s where it was kind of picked up and used again, and in our day and age, it is the same way that Bluetooth and Wi-Fi runs. They
Okay.
run off of signals that jump around off of a certain code. So you have a code, you put it on your signal,
Mm-hmm.
and that code tells that signal which frequency to jump on. So it's constantly moving. It can't be intercepted and it can't be jammed.
Yeah. Yeah. There are later versions of that, and that's
Yeah.
interesting.
So I think they said legacy Wi-Fi is use that same sort of principle as well as Bluetooth technology.
Hmm.
So she wasn't the inventor of it, and when I first read about her, the summary I had before I looked deeper said that it gave the foundations to Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and I'm like, that is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Here we have a Hollywood actress who developed the foundations of Wi-Fi, something that's very, very integral in our society today. She
Yeah.
didn't have the direct play, but um, had her own adaptations to it, and has been adapted over time since then.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even sure if it's her her original patent that led to what we have now, or if it's just something that's similar and someone else, parallel to her, came up with something. like that. But I thought it was very interesting and and really cool, And many times she tried to join the National Inventors Council
Hmm.
for the United States. I can't remember if she ever got on or not, but she had many patents. She had contributions to aviation and the way we have wireless technology.
Hmm. That's interesting.
hmm Coming from the most beautiful woman in the world.
Yeah. Also, she lived in Castleberry, Florida.
She lived all over.
Yeah, no, because I'm looking through her Wikipedia to try to like kind of get a few um like images of her, and yeah, it's the way that she wears her hair. That's what it is.
Yeah, a bit more traditional style. But and with all this, she was actually self-taught. She never went to school for any of this.
Hmm.
But that is my person of the week, and my next person next week, or not so much as a bigger impact, but I think is her contributions are will be relevant. I'm on a woman kick. You know, a woman last week, woman this week,
Yeah, you're doing a
next
lot of
week will be a
women
woman.
so far. Yeah.
Well, the first two were men, and they were pretty obscure.
Okay.
But I like to change it up a little bit. Next week will be African American woman. Last week was African American woman. Especially this time, just shedding light on people that did great things, and during the time they did these things, women, white or black, especially black, never had rights and could never get their foot in the door because of oppression.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So
true.
I just think it's good to get it out there. And there's actually another one I have to find her name again, but this is a really cool woman that had a lot of. She won the Legion of Honor in France
Hmm.
during World War II,
Okay.
and I'll save her for maybe next week. I'll do a side by side.
Hmm.
Let me go ahead and write her down in my notes.
Yeah. No, that's really that's interesting. I'm trying to look through um like all of the the interesting things that she's done. She got married 6 times,
Oh
which
yeah, that's Hollywood for you.
yeah, yeah, that's true. That's definitely one thing that has not stopped being a thing where, Hollywood, you just get married all the time. I wonder why that is actually.
Well, I think a part of it is you get so much attention when
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of hard to filter it and siphon it. And what I've seen is common is when you have um, a co-ed cast with two main star or leading roles
Mm-hmm.
that wind up together because of the time they spend in the nature of the role, like Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman after Wise Eyes Shut, Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie from Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Mm-hmm.
So while playing a role, you just get these affections that grow,
Mm-hmm.
and you're also in a community where it's okay to cheat, be swingers, and have that kind of behavior.
Do you think the entire community in Hollywood is so far removed from the rest of society that they find it's okay to cheat on spouses and whatnot?
I would say no. I look at someone like Tom Hanks. Well, I'm not sure how long he's been married, but his kids are pretty grown. His son Colin Hanks is in Hollywood now as a producer and actor. Um, what's his name? Short guy. He played the Penguin in Batman Returns.
Danny
He,
DeVito?
Danny DeVito. He's been married to his wife for ages.
No, wait,
So
maybe
there
that's
are
Jack Nicholson.
no, no, not Jack Nicholson.
No.
I'm not sure about his marital status, but there are some that can stay grounded
Mm.
and and stay with their wives. It probably isn't hard for Danny DeVito, but someone like Tom Hanks, he Tom Hanks isn't in that many obscure roles where he is, with someone else in some romantic or kind of lustful role.
Yeah, you know what? I think the thing is Tom Hanks has been typecasted as somebody who can play the role of a loner, or maybe,
A Family Guy.
well, what movies has he been in where he's like been a family man?
I mean, not like a family man, but he just has like that genuine niceness about him.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, that makes
You
sense.
know, in Castaway, he was a family man, but he was also stranded.
No, no, no. His wife, like it was before they started a family, right? And so his wife was, uh, like forgot, not necessarily forgot about him, but everyone thought he was dead.
Right. Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is like that's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head. But when he was he played the captain of the plane that crashed in the New York River,
Oh
one of the
yeah,
rivers in
yeah,
New York.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
He also played the captain of a ship that was taken by pirates, the Somali pirates.
Yeah.
He did that. He's been in Pixar movies. He did Big. I never saw Philadelphia, but I guess in Big, there's a romantic portion in it, but
Yeah, but that
still
was when he was
overall
much, much younger.
much younger. But he's always had pretty clean movies.
Well, there was the Bachelor Party.
Never heard of it.
No? Oh, that's like one of Tom Hanks's most famous ones, Bachelor Party.
Oh, the one with the neighbors. It's I can't remember the title of it, but some neighbors move in and he thinks that they're serial killers, and it kind of drives him crazy. That was a comedy.
Hmm.
But if you think of something like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, or Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie have this, sex scene, or like, they're all up on each other and stuff.
Yeah.
That one, I haven't seen Tom Hanks in anything like that. He's more in the more conservative roles,
Hmm.
and that's probably by choice. He just fits that bill better. Actors usually play certain roles. Some of them are pretty dynamic and can move from one role to another with ease. Like
Mm-hmm.
Jim Carrey does it pretty well.
Um. Yeah. Yeah. Jim Carrey has like his serious like roles, and then he has his, just
It's
ridiculous.
goofy.
Yeah, his goofy stuff. But his goofy stuff is always the same, right? Like it's just him making a bunch of faces. Whereas his more serious stuff is, I mean, it's all right. I'm not like I think the only thing
Yeah,
that really comes to mind is Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind. And I thought that was interesting because of the story, not necessarily because of Jim Carrey's acting.
yeah. It's really a weird role to see him in.
Yeah.
You know, and I just have Robin Williams. He had his psychological thrillers and more serious roles. He also had a
When
bunch
was
of
he?
comedies.
When was he in a psychological thriller?
1 Hour Photo. I think that was the name of the movie where he works at a store that develops photos and he becomes like a stalker killer type of person. Didn't see it, but he was pretty much the antagonist in the movie. Really creepy.
No, I didn't know about that one. I know. I wanted to see because I thought it was like just a really interesting premise. Death to Smoochie. Do you know about that one?
Oh yeah, that one was real funny.
Yeah. Oh
It was
man.
a comedy. He's a bad guy in it, or
Mm-hmm.
he's just like the jealous TV star who's been kicked to the side while someone else you know comes in.
Yeah.
That one was a comedy. But outside of comedies, even you know Patch Adams had his funny moments. It was a serious movie, and he did a good job in it. He
Yeah, but
did the
I,
Dead Poets Society, which was more of a serious movie instead of
yeah,
comedy.
but I think that with the Dead Poet Society, he had a familiar role. You know what I mean? So Robin Williams is kind of like, he's typecast as that lovable guy, that just kind of he's the kind of cool guy, kind of thing, like kind of goofy, kind of cool guy. Even
Mhm.
in his more serious roles, like Dead Poet Society, he is more he's still the same person. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Uh, and except in 1 Hour Photo,
Okay.
yeah, that one I think he was the creep
Hmm.
antagonist. Like you're watching a movie and like that person's a serial killer.
Yeah. There was this one movie that I saw with him, which was really wild. Um, it's a real dark movie, but I forgot the name of it. But the premise is that he is a failed teacher, right? Like, or a teacher that's just kind of like,
Goodwill Hunting.
no, not Good Will Hunting.
Oh
This was a recent one. Oh, that's what it's called, World's Greatest Dad, right? Have you seen it?
no, I haven't seen Goodwill Hunting either.
Oh, well, you should. It's great. But World's Greatest Dad is actually probably it's if you're gonna watch a Robin Williams movie, or if you're gonna watch like a kind of like dark comedy, you want to watch this one because I think it's really good. But basically, he's just
Let me go ahead and put on a tab to remind myself later.
yeah, yeah. But essentially, how it works is he is a failed teacher at a private school, or not necessarily a failed teacher at a private school. He's just a teacher at a private school, just doing his thing. Da da da. His son is a complete asshole. Nobody likes him. He's just a terrible, terrible person, right? Even his dad is kind of like resenting him because he's just kind of meh. Like, eh, what's the best way to describe it? He's just a dick, right? That's the best way to go about it. He's just like one of those whiny, prepubescent children that kind of like, you know, you don't like to be around. Unfortunately, what ends up happening is that his son ends up killing himself due to autoerotic asphyxiation.
Wonder if that has anything to do with his own death. Sometimes actors get so wrapped up in a role.
No, I
In
mean this was a
2009.
yeah, but I don't remember when he died. I think it was like 2015. But there's a whole reason why Robin Williams died.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's been depressed and alcoholic and drug user
No, 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 that's actually not
for
it.
decades.
He was suffering from dementia.
I didn't know about the dementia, but I know he's had problems with depression for years.
Yeah, no, I mean I'm pretty sure that might have been something to do with it, but there was an open letter that his wife wrote, and the idea was, um, he discovered that he had dementia, and it was basically going to take him relatively soon, so he decided to end it on his own terms. Like that's the whole reason why um, he committed suicide.
That's interesting to learn, and I don't really like the idea of kind of when someone has a terminal illness or problem
Mm-hmm.
of dealing with themselves. You hear about people that will just go and leave their families
Mm-hmm.
and never respond to them because they don't want them to deal with the suffering they go through cancer, dementia, or anything else, or they just end it early.
Yeah, it's that's one of those things. It's a really touchy subject.
It is, so we should probably move off of that one. But going back to what we were talking about with Hollywood,
Okay.
um, I think with it is might be 50-50 or maybe more where it is you're in the fame, you're in the spotlight, and you're around other celebrities, and it's just common to just go and have hookups. But I think with the people that aren't doing that, you'll see them in roles that doesn't propagate it.
Hmm.
They'll have more sincere rules. Oh, wait, I have to go tinkle my winkle. I'll be right back.
Okay. In the middle of the podcast, he needs to tinkle his winkle. I mean, I can dig it. Sometimes I do that too. Maybe. All right. Well, that's interesting. Maybe if somebody else comes on, the Peeps channel's actually been kind of dead lately. I'm not entirely sure what's going on, but essentially, there's nobody on here at the moment, so it's a nice time to kind of hang out and do things without having without doing anybody like jumping into the conversation, because like the thing is that as much as we like and enjoy jumping in to the people jumping into the conversation, um, the issue comes in like what happens if somebody just jumps in randomly, somebody we don't know, because like the peeps Discord is actually pretty light right now. It's only about 100 people, and most of the people we kind of know and we have like a thing. But if this podcast becomes big, that would be a more interesting development, because we would probably have to filter how people who want to come into the podcast, like how do they get regulated, which is probably not something that we're going to think about for a very long time, considering that the only people who listen to this podcast are myself and Jameis. So it is what it is. Do, do, do. It's interesting because I was debating on whether to go upstairs and get another beer. However, I am not just going to leave dead air. That would be really annoying. Um, but I was actually debating on it before James decided to leave. So now I'm here with an empty beer, kind of just trying to think about how can I get upstairs and go into the fridge. What should happen, what I should do is I should install a system where if I ask for a beer, it will drop down through the floor, or not through through the floor of the second level, and down into the office where I record, and present, at my desk, because that would be a great time. And all you would really need is maybe some PVC pipe. You just drill a hole through the wall. You'd also have to drill a hole through the refrigerator. So I think that would be an excess of a lot. Basically, you'd have to like set up its own refrigeration unit to make sure that there's no. It doesn't get unnecessarily hot, or it cools unnecessarily, because then that would just bring up the electric bill like crazy. But I think what you can do is you can bring it, and it would just drop down, and all you just need to slow it down and make sure it doesn't hit anything rough as it comes down. But
Hey, I am back.
hey, I was just talking about a system to get a beer from my fridge down to my office, um, and how I should implement that. That way, if I ever am alone, I don't have to wait for a beer.
Well, there is a I believe it's about $9,000. It's a refrigerator in the shape of R2D2 that could bring you a beer.
Can I go downstairs?
Probably not, but more realistic, I would just set up a mini fridge right next to your station and and top it off.
That's true. Mini fridges are good. The only thing is that mini fridges they're a lot to run. They cost a lot of money, essentially.
Really?
Yeah, because like if you add a mini fridge to the electrics of your house, you're probably adding another $50 just based on that.
Oh, no way. The lowest our electric bill will get is like between 120 and 130,
Okay.
and that's like summer. I mean, not summer, but fall and spring when we're not using the AC. Most of your power is coming from your AC unit,
Yeah, but then
and,
you
and
also
lights
have
and
the
other things.
heavy appliances. So
So I can't imagine a fridge, a mini fridge, and other appliances, being that much with a mini fridge being a third of the price
yes,
without the AC included.
it's a third of the price, but the energy that it takes is about the same as a regular fridge.
Well, not quite. It's small and condensed. It doesn't need to pull that much energy.
It doesn't need to pull that much at one time, but the technology is still the same. And then on top of that, um, like, so let's see, what was like? Do you have a mini fridge? Am I just talking out of my
Yeah,
ass? Oh, okay. So you have a mini fridge. So you're
yeah. I
at
have a mini fridge.
you're at 120 on the low end.
On the low end, when I may run the AC or heat, very rarely for a couple months when we have good weather, windows open.
Okay. So my lowest is 49.
My high end would be like 350. That's like the highest I'll pay. Oh, I'll pay that twice in a year at the peak of winter and the peak of summer.
My highest has never been that high ever. Like my highest has been 140.
Nice.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like you might have like a bigger house than I do, and you're in a different location, so you might be running your AC a lot more than I am. But I would wager that the addition of a mini fridge is it's gonna add like maybe 20-30 bucks per month on your
Yeah, I
electrics.
I can see about 20 to 30. I can agree with that.
Okay, well that's fine. Um, so speaking of which, I don't have a mini fridge in my office, so let me get a beer and I'll be right back.
All right, then we'll play our favorite game.
What? What? Oh yeah, that's true. All right, BRB.
While he is gone, why don't we all take a moment to go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe? Because you know what? You always want to see a little bit more. And we always want to tell you a little bit more and see that we are being followed. So, on the topic of mini fridges and some design like R2D2, is there any other type of mini fridge that you would like to see in some novelty character? Obviously, that little, was it BNB or B8B, whatever it is from the third trilogy of Star Wars, would be too small. C3PO would just be a drag. Sir, you've already had 2 beers. Well, yeah, I know, C3PO. I can remember because it's only been 2 beers. Remind me when I get to 10, because then I'll forget. But with that many languages programmed into him, he could probably make the dankest cocktails you can imagine.
So what?
Me and the fans are just talking about other novelty mini fridges based off of characters. So
Oh,
you got that little Bebop B robot from the third set trilogy of Star Wars, which is just too small. But then you have C3PO, which would probably be annoying because he'd be like, "Well, sir, you've already had 2 beers." Well, yeah, I know because it's only been 2 beers. Let me know when it's 10. But on the other hand, with this enhanced language uh, circuitry, you could probably make the dankest cocktails imaginable.
that's probably true. I think that if C3PO was a mini fridge, he would make the most amazing cocktails. In fact, I would wager that somebody is in development of making a C3PO mini fridge cocktail machine.
Well, they are now, and they'll be next month's donation or sponsorship.
That's true. Next month's sponsorship is going to go to C3PO Robot Fridges Incorporated.
You heard it from here first. Over on Peeps Pad Cost.
Peeps pad cost. That's true. And that's a fact. Okay, so let me guess what you're drinking. Mm,
Before you guess,
okay.
let's lay down some ground rules, okay?
Okay.
So, when it comes to wine, there are so many different brands that will limit it to the type of wine, like rosé, Pinot Noir, Pinot Grigio, Riesling, and
Okay.
such.
Yeah.
With beers, when it comes to craft beers, that's it. It's just craft beer. There are too many, and a lot of them are regional or by state,
Mm-hmm.
community, county. It's almost impossible. If you're drinking a craft beer, IPA is pretty much going to be the nail in the coffin. Unless it's a craft of a different genre, then we can probably do craft beers as a lager, ale, IPA, but it has to be a craft lager, a craft IPA, things like that. But, most of the domestics, everyone knows. The imports, general imports, we all know.
Mm-hmm.
And same with spirits. We all have the generic type, but if it's going to be something obscure, let us know so we can eliminate it to type.
Yeah. All right. I think you're drinking a beer.
It is a beer.
I think you're drinking an IPA.
It is not an IPA.
Ooh, I think you're drinking a lager.
It is not, although those are some of my favorites.
Are you drinking a pilsner?
Nope.
Domestic.
Nope.
Okay, imported.
It is imported.
Okay. Is it imported from Europe?
Yes.
Hmm.
Got about four more guesses. I
It's
don't, I don't remember what number you're at, but let's say four more guesses to guess the type.
the type. Okay. So it's not craft because it's not local. It's imported. It's from Europe.
And it is the most common thing that you would find from Europe.
Heineken.
No. And not brand, but I mean by type. It's the most common type.
Oh, it's a pale ale then.
Bingo, you got it. By the way, ales were very common in America, but once they developed lagers,
Hmm.
they became, the thing. With Yingling being America's oldest brewery,
So
and it
they
is a
say.
lager. So, it is a French pale ale. Yeah, I picked it up over at Lidl. It's called Le Blonde de Chenord.
Is it that one in that blue bottle?
No, no, it has like a tan label on it. It's a brown bottle, but
Okay.
it's this French pale ale, but it is a blonde.
Hmm.
I'm not going to get into those specifics because that's just way unfair.
Well, yeah, but like I I like to know about beer, but I'm not like a hardcore beer snob. You know what I mean?
This thing is actually 7.2%.
Ooh, that's a lot.
And when I went and picked it up, the label underneath says something about like Czech beer and whatever. I didn't see any other beer from Czechoslovakia.
Oh, it's a
But
Czech. Okay, it's a Czech beer.
well, that's what the tab said underneath it, and it was $1.99, and it's 1 pint, 9.3 fluid ounces, which is 25.3 ounces. So it's equivalent to two beers. And I'm like, hey, something that size like this for $2, that's a deal. But next to it, they had it in crates of six,
Hmm.
and it said 5.99, and it had French Pale Ale on that tag. And I thought, whoa, I can grab the one beer for $2 or the six pack for $6. But I'm trying to cut back on money and stuff. I'm like, I'll just grab the one beer. I'm not gonna be greedy. Turns out the one beer was actually $6.
So you bought
The,
a crate that was $6 per beer.
I just bought the one beer. I didn't buy the crate.
Hmm.
And so the one beer was $6, and that 1.99 for the check beer was for something else. But
Okay.
it was Lidl. I'm like, $2 for an obscure beer. That sounds normal for Lidl. I should have known better.
Makes sense.
All right, so I know, are drinking a beer.
I am.
Um, Last week it was Stella, so I'm gonna say Stella.
You're absolutely right. How did you know?
So look, I've been, because I restrict myself, I buy my 12 case of Big Light from Lidl because it's $9 or $8.99 for a 12 pack. Can't
Mhm.
beat it. I think it tastes delicious. But just for this game, I'm like, I have to pick something else just throw the game off. So I'm going to pick a beer just for this game, and this is what I picked.
Yeah, if I'm gonna
So
be honest, I did not prepare effectively. I was just like, I need to drink a beer, and that's the only thing I had. I had some wine, but it's cheap wine. Like it was wine that was like $3. So I
dear,
don't. I'm sorry.
is it? Oh dear,
Yeah. So I.
$3.
Yeah, $3 for wine, which is yeah, that's rough. And so like I usually use it for cooking instead. Because cheap wine, don't even have to worry about it. It's a
Remember when I
rag.
used to remember I used to stay at your place and we would kill like bottles of wine and you would drop me off at the college so I can tutor math and go to
I
school.
don't
Like
remember us drinking wine. I remember us drinking Steel Reserve.
most of the time I brought Yingling because I remember your dad was impressed that we
Oh
brought such a superior beer.
yeah.
I remember there was plenty of times like I would bring a bottle of wine and kill most of it in the morning, be like, "Oh, there's some left," and chug the rest of it, and like, "Hey, Raph, I need a ride to school."
Yeah, that was a wild time.
Oh crap! I said your name.
Oh well, it's fine. Whatever. Nobody's
That
watching
can
this
be.
anyway.
Hey,
Hmm.
you say that now, but I'm getting thousands of messages or hundreds of messages about this person of the week. And one of the main things is with last week's with Henrietta Lacks. A lot of people actually did know about her, so
Okay.
I just want to make it clear to all the people that message me. I
Who's
am
messaging
usually
you? That's also watched our thing.
tr- trust me, I've got a bunch of messages concerning this. Um,
From who? Who? What? Like, I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna go into my YouTube Creator Studio, and I'm gonna see that we've gotten like 3.5 million views somehow. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't remember this being a thing.
all right, did you see the message I just sent you?
Let's see.
Yeah. So that's where they're all coming from.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I've never been into pop culture and stuff like that. So even someone, who Zach Efron is and Tom Hardy.
I don't know who Tom Hardy is. I know who Zac Efron is.
Oh, I probably said the name wrong, but whatever guy that played Bane, it was also in Inception.
Mm. Christian Bale.
Not Christian Bale. He wasn't in Inception, but the guy that played Bane was also in Inception. And at the time, I remember hearing about this person and Zac Efron and stuff. I still do not know what these characters actually look like, or these actors. And these people were widely popular, and I guess still are. But in general sense, I know the basics of Hollywood and pop culture. And there was a thing I saw on Facebook where it said, "Yeah, $50. Which concert are you going to go to?" It had three people. It was a $50 concert, and like four people for a $30 concert, then like 10 people for a $20 concert. And the only person I knew was Taylor Swift. I just happened to recognize her. No one else I recognized out of 20 people.
Yeah.
So, so for the people listening, when I do this famous people that aren't famous or person of the week, these are people that I personally do not know because I'm pretty illiterate when it comes to pop culture. so so please stop sending me the emails about that. I know, but there are also people that I feel no one else knows about. But once you have a wide enough pool, you're going to get a couple hundred people that do know that person. You know,
That's true. But to be
I just
fair,
want
I
to
did
put it
not
out
know
there.
who Heidi Lamar was. I think I heard about her in passing, and that's about it.
Well, yeah, and this is stuff we might know, but when you have I don't know how many people are listening, you're going to get a couple hundred that know who these people are, and they're the ones that are emailing me. They
Yeah.
don't know every single person, but for each person, there's always a couple hundred, and I'm like, stop! I know, I know, I know. I don't keep up with this stuff. It's news. It's news to me.
All right. Well, let me change the subject completely and
It's about time.
go to my philosophy corner. Or should we do edit and discard? I'm not entirely sure how you feel about this. Um, let's do.
Flip a coin.
Well,
All right.
actually, no. Let me ask you a question. So, are you? What social medias do you have?
So technically, I have a Twitter account, and I
Okay.
only created it to ask Tom Hanks to speak at my graduation ceremony when I was valedictorian.
Nice. Did you get a
And
response?
no response. I also wrote him a letter as well. I also used it when I played Dragons of Atlantis because the guy from Star Trek that was also in Big Bang Theory, he was a he was the kid genius in Star Trek Next Generation. Oh,
Will Wheaton?
Will Wheaton. He had a promotion if you took a screenshot of your base and you put it up there, you got a special gift
Hmm.
in Dragons of Atlantis. So I also did that. Other than that, I don't use Instagram. I don't use Snapchat. I don't use any other platform except Facebook.
Okay. So, I've come across a phenomenon, and this might work better if you think about it in Facebook terms.
But hold on a second.
Okay.
I'll be right back. I have to drop a charger up to my wife.
Okay. Sometimes you got to drop the charger off at the pool, or your wife in this case. Huh. Oh, I completely forgot that it's dead air. So I've been looking through the Discord to see if we can invite anybody else and see if we get any responses back. However, we have not gotten any responses back, so I'm just gonna keep it on the thing. Let's see. No, nobody. It's actually direct messaging. Okay, actually, let me just kind of spit one out there. All right, so I think I've spoken about this before on a few podcasts, but essentially, the idea is, um, if you go on any social media, specifically Facebook and Reddit, you get to see a lot of different comments and posts about random events that you feel you might want to have an opinion on, right? And what I tend to do, which is kind of like an annoying thing, is I tend to get like this whole big, huge, long tirade of uh, of what I want to say to this person, right? Because it's something that either we vehemently disagree, or it's something that this person does not know 100% about, and so I want to correct them or kind of inform them on the thing. And then right as I'm about done, I realize that it's stupid to actually go and do a thing and hit submit, because then what ends up happening is that person is just going to completely disregard anything that you have to say, and essentially I just discard that entire message. And it's I don't want to say it's like a rant, but essentially I'm just kind of annoyed at myself for doing this, and then kind of like wishing that the internet would be a nice and kind place, but in reality that's not going to happen.
So I've been there before.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you understand my feelings.
yeah, and not so much on Reddit, but on Facebook, and I've seen it, especially right now with the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Different politicians and stuff. Everyone has their own opinion about something. You want to clarify and stick up for them, or even with Black Lives Matter, being like, yeah, you know what, I support you all. I can't believe I haven't before.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, but do I want to open up this can of worms for the
Yeah.
other 67% to come and give their point of view?
Yeah, and then basically what they're gonna do is just gonna come in and ruin your shit, and it's like, do I really want to go with that? Like, especially because like I'm the kind of person that likes to play devil's advocate. So
Same here.
yeah, so like I always like to look at it from the other side. So somebody has like this something that's like, I think that uh, you know the sky is blue, and I'm like, well, I mean technically, if you really want to be technical about it, the sky's black. Space is black. The only reason why it's blue is because light is reflecting particles off of the yada 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 yada, right?
Same reason why the ocean is blue is because it's reflecting the sky.
Yeah, yeah. But like the idea is that I do like playing devil's advocate, and whenever anybody chooses a side that is based on, or it has an opinion about a thing, right? It's not based on any real evidence. You're just kind of like, okay, I feel that this is good, or I feel that this is bad, and that's it. That's all it is, right? And then people like to take that opinion and be like, oh, well, you're a bad person because you have this opinion, you know. And then what ends up happening is, you end up writing an entire wall of text that you really feel like only one or two people are going to read, and you're kind of like, you know what? It's not worth it.
It's not.
Yeah.
And that's how you end up on Facebook fights, which is something they do on the radio station down here. They'll
What
find
is
stuff.
Facebook fights?
So this radio station will pick out a thread of fights people are having on Facebook, and with the different people on the radio station, they'll pick different people that were speaking, make voices for them and kind of dramatize the fight. Reading everything word for word, but using emotion and emphasis as they speak.
Oh
And
man, how come I didn't think of that? That's a great idea.
it's like it's like, hey, you all that are firing fireworks, it is not the 4th of July, and even if it was, 9 o'clock is too late. Hey, Susie, I saw your post. Good comment. I'm tired of the fireworks too. Hey, y'all. Well, guess what? It's Freedom Day, and it's only one time out of the year, so just deal with it. Ryan, you are such a asshole. Why do you have to say that? And that's how they speak, going through the posts and everything. And it
Yeah.
goes, people cheating on each other and like someone finding out, slut fights and, guys being dicks to each other and, anything that's a fight on Facebook.
Huh.
and they'll play the Rocky theme at the end of it.
That's awesome. Oh man, that sounds like a fun time. I think that's a winning idea when you're
It,
talking about not like just in general entertainment. I haven't listened to the radio in like 10 years, so I really couldn't tell you what they're doing now. But that is pretty hilarious.
for my commute, I like to listen to talk shows. But yeah, that station. There's three of them, so each one picks a different fight. They also have different Craigslist ads that they read.
Oh God.
Like this days for Craigslist ads, they all pick one, and then the Facebook fights. But other than that, I also like to listen to BBN Bible Broadcasting Network, NPR, and this one station that was rock and punk rock alternative, more new age where it's rap, but it isn't rock, but it's still classified as rock. Just became BIN, Black Information News, and it's
Okay.
purely black news for black people, and it's actually really informative. You get to see a whole different side and more of the community and culture.
Hmm.
That's really cool.
Okay.
That's why you should listen to radio wise. But Facebook fights.
I listen to the radio for black news and Facebook fights. Those are the two things.
just just don't start a fight on Facebook because it'll be broadcasted on the radio
Mm-hmm. Mm.
because of what you said. Some people are too ignorant and stubborn in their own views to submit to an idea that makes sense, that's contradictory to their own ideals, where they can agree to it but also disagree and stick to their own, that they'll just flat out attack you.
Well, I mean, so the problem is that I used to do this a lot, right? Like back in the day, a few years ago, I would pick fights with people, and I realized how detrimental it was. In fact, I had somebody text me because of a Facebook fight, telling me that I'm a terrible person. They no longer want to be my friend. And I'm kind of like, dude, I'm just offering you my opinion. It's nothing. Like you just need to calm down. But unfortunately, that was the end of that friendship. So like, I'm always hesitant to kind of pick that. I'm always hesitant to engage on social media because of that reason. Because you have a break of a relationship just because this person, you know, felt it was a bad idea, or felt that you were so wrong in your opinion that you did not want to be with that person anymore. You didn't want to hang out with that person anymore.
I rarely ever post anything or reply to stuff anyways on Facebook.
Yeah.
And as far as discontinuing a friendship over social media, I've done it a couple times, and it wasn't over a Facebook fight. It was just over what they posted and how derogatory and hateful it was. Um, you know, I know a lot of people that don't believe the same thing I do, and I've been tempted to like, yeah, I just don't want to see this anymore. But what they said was just, you know, so hateful. I just couldn't be friends with them, and it wasn't that we got into a fight. It was just that I kind of saw what that person was, and then would be friends with them. Other than that, it's okay. We disagree, but we're still friends,
Yeah.
and that's how it should be.
Yeah.
If you can't get past that, then you shouldn't be friends anyways with that person.
Yeah, well, I mean, the particular fight was on something really. I don't think it was very controversial, or it was something that was like like lively for discussion. And I believe what it was women being eligible for the draft. Right. So this happened a few years ago, and I remember this. Um, women like there was a law in place saying that the women would be eligible for the draft,
I remember.
and yeah. So there was a post on Facebook, and this person who I was friends with, she said that there shouldn't be a draft of any kind, and I'm like, huh, well that's interesting, and so being the devil's advocate that I am, I was like, well, person, you do understand that we need the mechanism to raise an efficient military uh, in a conscription style manner, because what happens if we get invaded by this foreign force, or this foreign force is like invading our allies. Seems like
It,
a
it
hmm?
it's necessary.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Who's on here? I see an extra person who's not talking very much.
It's the Gringo man.
Just joined. He
It is
just joined.
it is the Gringo Man. Well, it's interesting because I did not hear the Discord doodle.
I did, but I can barely hear. I mean, there we go.
Oh, I'm not on my sweet microphone. 1 second.
Oh, well,
We'll
you
get on
should
the
see my
sweet microphone.
microphone.
I saw it in high school. I'm aware. What are you guys up to?
Oh, just talking some shit.
So right now the topic is the many times a social media post goes unsubmitted, where basically you're about to put something on Facebook, Reddit, or wherever, and you decide, you know what, it's just better if I just keep my mouth shut.
It usually happens on Facebook and Reddit because you can like put like an entire wall, and then you're like, nah.
Not worth it.
Cool. Cool.
So Jem and I was just talking about a time someone decided they didn't want to be friends with him because of his post regarding the women in the draft
Yeah.
for the military. So my opinions on the draft is we have it, it's necessary. We used it when we needed to. Obviously we're not using it right now. But as far as women doing it, I would agree, we're integrating women on submarines and in combat. And if you want to talk about, equal opportunity and being equals, then I would say it's necessary. And I would even go further to say we should do what some other countries like Israel does, where it's mandatory. If you're a citizen, you serve for at least 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree with that. In order to become a citizen, you have to sign up for some kind of service, right? Whether it's like something like the Peace Corps, or whether it's military service. I don't necessarily disagree with that premise. However, the argument is that um, the article that she linked was about women specifically being eligible for the draft, which means that if a war was declared, then women would have to take part in combat of some kind, or they would have to be joined up in the military, right? And
There- There's so much support they could do overseas in combat or even here,
mhm.
where you're not actually fighting, but there are also a lot of women that want to engage in combat. Recently, we just had the first black female fighter pilot for the Navy from Virginia. Um, did her training out in Texas. She's the first naval militant that's trained for flight combat.
Hmm.
There are women out there that want it, that want to do it, and
Well, I mean, it's one
you know,
thing.
if there's a draft, there's other supporting roles as far as your communications, technology, strategies. Um, you have combat in itself, and you also have medical as well. It's not, you can be overseas in combat, but you're not just doing combat.
Yeah, no, I mean that is definitely that's definitely a thing. The argument is that she did not think that it was necessary for there to be a draft in the first place, right? She was like, there shouldn't be a draft, and my argument is no, there should be a draft because what happens if you get invaded? What happens if your country needs you? There is a reason for conscription services. And that is my argument.
I agree there is a need for it.
Yeah, and that was the thing. I'm actually kind of curious to see what Gringo Man is thinking, but unfortunately, he broke his microphone, and now he has to use another one. Or he died. One of the two. Probably died.
If he did, I would have felt it in my thumb.
Do you have like a
You
psychic?
felt it in your blood.
There we go. What happened,
It
man?
would have been a psychic shiver. I'm trying to set up my other microphone, and it's not being shown as an audio source. So
Have you tried turning it
I'm
off?
troubleshooting. No, I actually haven't tried that. Thanks, Raph. I mean Gemini. Damn it!
It's the second time this happened, so you're good.
It's okay.
I did it
Your
earlier.
your YouTube channel literally gives it away.
That's only because
So-
Google decided that was a thing.
You had that. You didn't. You get the option. You got to choose.
No, I didn't get the option. They just changed my name.
Yeah, I had it when they got rid of what it was Google Plus, when they were getting rid of that. You had the option to use your Google Plus information, or if you had a YouTube account, you could still just use your original YouTube account. So I'm just Gringo. I'm still Gringo.
No.
But yeah, remember Google Plus? Mm-hmm.
I remember Google Plus. That was a fun time. I actually like Google Plus. I don't know why people didn't like it.
It was a fun
Much like-
failure.
It's one of those things where Google will sink so much money into it, then be like, all right, we're out, because like they just made an announcement just a little bit ago that they're not going to do their music streaming service anymore.
Google Play
They're just
Music?
they're just gonna do YouTube.
Yeah, all the more. Well, YouTube Music is actually not that bad. I do like YouTube
It's not.
Music.
No, I actually like it too. Yeah.
The only problem is that Joe Rogan is going to Spotify, so I'm probably going to have to download Spotify.
I've tried to avoid Spotify all these years.
Same, but Joe
So,
Rogan's going, so what am I going to do?
You're going to listen to it on any of the other podcast networks that are inevitably going to start streaming his content.
He's exclusive to Spotify. That's the contract that he signed.
Really? Did it say how long?
I don't know for how long. I think he said like a year or something like that.
How much did they pay him for that?
A lot of money.
A shit ton of money.
A shit ton of money. He's like, coronavirus might... I might not be able to do any gigs, so I'm going to sign up with Spotify. Why not? Now I don't
Not
have
that
to...
he ever needed more gigs. Dude's got everything. He's got his podcast. He's got. I mean, he's an announcer for the UFC. If that's still going on, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Very,
he
very
still does it. Oh.
Give me 2. I will be right back. I'm going to give myself a quick reboot. I am going to turn it off and on again.
See you when you get back. So, philosophy corner. I assume we wrapped up.
Yeah,
Or
it's just
social media.
my edit discard is just like a little rant, so it's kind of like, whatever. I actually kind of wanted to hear what Gringo Man thought about the draft, but it's not really relevant. The real question is philosophy corner. So, are you familiar with the teleporter problem in philosophy, Jameis?
I would say that putting the molecules back together exactly the way they were before and retaining a soul is the problem, but I haven't looked into it.
Okay, so for people who don't know what the teleporter problem is,
Like me?
yeah, No. You got it. You hit the nail on the head. It's just the idea is like not everybody knows what we're talking about. The idea is you have a teleporter or some science fictiony device that allows you to transport from one place to another, right? If you and when you do this, how do you transfer from one place to another? That is the big question. And
Willy
then
Wonka's already shown.
let's say what?
Willy Wonka's already done it. We know. It's Mike TV, man.
Like TV.
So the idea is how does it happen, and if it happens, does that also mean that you die? Because the preceding theory is if you transport into a teleporter, no matter which method that you're using, like based on the most basic methods, either you're transporting every single molecule bit by bit and then reattaching them to wherever you want to teleport to, or you're changing those molecules into energy and then rearranging new molecules into something that is exactly just like you.
Oh,
Oh, you're talking like the theory that the original you dies, and it's just reassembling you as something else.
Yeah, because like because think about it, right? If you are you, right, you're walking, moving around, doing all the things, and you decide to get sliced up into pieces, right, and then pulverized, turned into meat. Somebody eats you, poops you out. A dung beetle comes in and then creates like a whole thing. And then after the dung beetle is done with you, then you get put into the soil as nutrients, and then your nutrients grow, and then you get force fed into another into a woman, and then your molecules go into the womb of a woman, and then you get taken out. Is that person now you, or is it somebody else?
I would think that depends on your theory of what a soul is, or if a soul even exists. So I think at the what you just described as a chop shop method, then no, you would not be the same person. You'd be someone else. In the scenario where you're converted into a different energy source, transported and put back together, the soul could be transported along with it. The soul, and along with the physical matter, is just recoded, sent over some wavelengths, and then recoded back to your natural state. And in that case, you could be the same person, or the soul doesn't happen and you come back and the body just drops dead because there's nothing there, or the body continues because of electrical impulses, whatnot. I don't know.
I'd say that has more to do with the soul, and then more so with kind of Raph's. Or damn it, Gemini.
Matt, whatever you're smoking, please transport it over here ASAP.
Are you kidding me? I'm not even. I was thinking Gemini was because of the metaphor he was giving us, going through the food chain and the circle of life, and kind of constituting. Once you die and you've become something different, are you still that thing? Which uh,
I would say no.
the only question at that point is the spiritual, I would say, because you have stopped existing in a physical and mental capacity, and therefore the only thing that you're truly talking about left is the soul, and whether or not that soul transfers on through that process. And then the idea that you kind of talk about with teleporting itself, like bringing an object from one location to another, the idea is it the original object, or is it the object broken down into data, transferred, and then creating a new object based on what the previous object was supposed to be?
Mm-hmm.
That's at least how I hear it. Like,
yeah, no,
it does seem like it's more of a it's definitely a spiritual conversation, I'd say, more than
And
anything.
it's open to other forms of teleportation. I think there's another form of teleportation where you're actually linking two pieces of space together, and you're pretty much just taking a sidestep from point A to point B in a matter of seconds, but you're traveling hundreds of miles, thousands of miles, or however far, because at that point you're just warping space around you instead of actually breaking yourself down and then sending it.
But is that really a teleporter then, or just a wormhole?
Depends how you want to
Now you get
classify it.
nitpicky.
It
No,
depends
but
how you want to classify it.
it's a serious question because like a teleporter is something that you step onto a platform, kind of like a beam of light. Takes your essence, whatever that may be, does something with it, and then transports you to a different point in in time and space, right? So I mean,
A teleporter is, in essence, a transporter. It takes
It's
something,
instant. It
sends
should
it
be,
somewhere else.
and typically with the usual representation of it, it's relatively quick. Like it is something that would be near instantaneous. I mean, we could go Dragon Ball Z on this and go instant transmission, but we're talking about the theoretical, and it is an interesting. I like the idea more so of thinking of the human aspect. Like there's a great book. It's called the Bobaverse. It kind of goes into the AI aspect of this, of like, if you, up until the point that you become this AI and you transfer your consciousness, or you freeze your body and eventually they bring you into AI, they create a artificial intelligence with your personality. Do you continue to exist? Are you still human? Are you still like, are you, even though this new iteration of you, your body is dead, but you still exist because your thought process is still moving forward. And so like, and then from there you can separate your connection and create a duplicate, half-life yourself, and like duplicate yourself, and just kind of I'm going a
Yeah, then
little
you become Ultron.
Well, okay,
sort of,
I can
but
answer your
it's more
question.
so
The same theory.
you can separate that person, that new thing, even though it exists from the moment that you did and has all the same memories. From then on, they're a different person, and so it kind of expands on that. It's a really great book, Bobaverse. I highly recommend it.
Okay, but like to answer the question, so let's say for instance there was a new ingenious device that would allow you to transfer all of your brain contents and your personality and everything to a new vessel, you know, of sorts, right? The whole
Like an
thing,
indestructible body.
yeah. So let's say for instance there's a robot that has the capacity to carry your brain, not like the physical brain, but like mentally can zap all of your ness into this robot, and now you're a robot.
Yeah, you get uploaded.
You get uploaded. The problem is the second that you do that, if you don't die, then it's two different people. Does it make sense?
I would say
Yeah.
that it would be, in fact, two different people. I personally believe in a soul, and as soon as there's a separation, if the person dies, that's it. That's the death. Even though the the mind and electrical impulses are transferred to something that can do exactly the same thing as you, there's a separation at that point. And even if you don't die, well, you also have, in what I believe, a soul with the conscious of good and evil that I think is above brain capacity. You have the basic underliers like, stealing is wrong. That might be transferred over, but there's other principles that wouldn't be.
Why would you say that?
Well, believing in the soul, I would say that there are decisions that come from, the mind and the heart and you have the impulses of the body. Like if you see, you know, a woman walking down the street, and it's just like you see her, and it's like,
So do you
man,
think if you just you essentially created that separation, the backup plan of death, essentially living past the after, or essentially an artificial afterlife where we've uploaded our consciousness, but we don't die? You're saying that that the person that's created in the simulation is not a person because you still exist because they won't have physical desires?
oh no, not that they wouldn't exist, but they wouldn't be the same person as you.
Because they wouldn't have physical desires?
Wait, so
Oh,
what
because
process?
they wouldn't have a soul.
What
So I think
process?
So what makes a person have a soul then?
just being born, God giving you a soul.
So a natural process for you is the only way someone can inhibit a soul.
Right, and as I was trying to say before, it is just my belief
Mm-hmm.
as a Christian that we have souls. And at the point that you take your mental thought process, your feelings, and everything, and try to transfer it to something else, the soul would not transfer. And at that point, you and that duplicate are not the same, and you might mirror each other in every single way, live step by step. Even until that duplicate dies, I would still say it is something else. You know, it would
So
be its own entity, but it
ar-
wouldn't be you.
arguably, you would see it as inferior to yourself, based on that kind of
Breaking it all
connection.
the way down, I would say it could be inferior, but I wouldn't discount anything positive it could do based on anything positive you would do. You know what? It might even do even more good to the world.
But
But
you would
what?
always feel better than it for having a soul. Regardless of what it could potentially do to the world, the good it could do. You're saying you're superior because you were born naturally. And even though that thing would be you to the T from the moment it's uploaded. It has experienced, it will remember everything you've remembered your entire life. It would be you in every aspect but your physical, ideally, if the upload process is perfect.
Yeah.
Um does that, I don't know. It does seem like that, like it's
Or
already created a
the,
bias just by based on
it
how the
it could
soul
make a
is.
bias, but let's say the same thing happens, but to an embryo, and you adopt that embryo as your own child. You might love that child more than anything else, even than yourself. So it can go many different ways.
Right, right,
But
right. But based on your belief too, you're also stating that that child would have no soul and therefore is less. Right?
I don't know.
It does seem like it, just based on how you're kind of talking about it. I'm
Yeah,
just kind of trying to. I'm just
you're
putting it out there and asking the questions because, like, I'm just trying to basically understand you better because I don't have that religious belief, and I find that in times like this, with this kind of conversation, religious belief is a crutch to continue your bias of thought. So that's why I just have those questions. That's all.
no, the way you started phrasing them got me a little bit thinking since my
Yeah,
initial comments,
yeah.
and I don't know. So if it's put into an embryo in some form of organic matter, maybe it could. I have no
Well, then
idea.
you're talking about cloning at that point, and you're not talking about the that's a whole nother, hot
It
mess.
does. It opens up to a lot of different things. So if you go into a transponder or teleporter
Hmm.
and it makes a exact copy of you in another place, maybe 10 feet away from you, and you don't die, the initial question was are you two the same? I would say that you're not the same. You're not. You're at that point you're two separate people.
From that moment, yeah, when you are two of the same, it's like saying twins are the same people at that point.
Right. Now, do you obtain a soul or not? as far as I know, reading a Bible text, it doesn't cover it, so it's really hard to say. I would have to say the copy would not have a soul, and I don't know. Would it be inferior? Would it be
Well,
superior?
would
I
they
don't know.
have would, is it two souls to share between them, or just one soul that needs to be transferred from one place to another? And like the thing is that if you die, does that soul get transferred over, right? And this is a very spiritual question, and which is
Sure.
usually why
Here he is.
Occam's razor the soul idea away, and say that um, basically basically there is no reason to suggest that if you like teleport, quote unquote, and the inner workings of how the teleporter works, it's basically just a version of cloning, right? And basically, your
Yeah.
body is molecularized, turned into energy, and then cloned at a different location. So theoretically, you are dying because you are basically used to transport to operate a battery, and that battery is creating a copy of you.
So with that connection, I will ask just outright. Everybody here has seen The Prestige, right?
I have not.
You're literally talking about the plot of the movie.
Prestige
Okay.
is awesome.
Highly recommend it because it goes into what we're talking about. It's a Christopher Nolan film. It's one of his early ones. It's I think Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman, and they are parallel magicians. And one of them is it's this battle back and forth, but it kind of goes into it's around the early 1900s, right?
Yeah.
James, right? I believe. And it's I don't want to spoil it, but it does go into a lot of what we're talking about and whether or not like if you feel that the when you teleport the original instead of it being something where the original stops to exist, it essentially instead of it's shown as a teleport, but it is something more than that, and it's actually duplicating yourself in a new environment.
And then you have to choose which one
Yeah,
is the original,
yeah,
which is more important. And
it's
for
really
both
messed
of
up. I
them,
highly
they're
recommend it.
and for both, they are both the original in their own eyes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's worth the how like 2 hours or two
So
and a half hours. It is.
So, without any scripture to back this up, I would like to say at any point there was new human life or any life in general, it is loved by a God, and that any person living has a soul. I mean, otherwise, I believe you wouldn't be living at all. So that's my take on it. So scientifically, I wouldn't say that there is a soul or a soul that can transport, but from my religious beliefs, there is a soul, and if there is any sort of copying or transporting, and there's a duplicate or whatever, if the whatever is on the other side is living and breathing, I would say it must have a soul, and that it is loved by a God, and that God wants that soul to live a good life and do good things and not sin and chase after it. Chase after their God. And
So with each clone, there was a soul that was created essentially.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah. So
that's my hopes for it. That
I'm of the belief for the human soul is directly connected to your mental as well. That's just my own because I don't think you can be spiritual without being mental, and and I don't think you can be mental without a little bit of that spirituality. And in the same way that humanity and humans themselves, we heal and we can eventually recover from things. I think if anything, if there is any sort of like, this is also, I'm more talking about the cloning, less about the teleporting and the spirit and everything. Like, does that new thing have a spirit as a soul? I would say yes. And if it did take any sort of, like, we give ourselves constantly to people in our day-to-days, in the same way that I think you would be giving yourself a little piece of your soul, and then you would eventually, recover it. Like, it would be something that you over time can just get back. It's not, we replenish ourselves constantly. So why is that, a soul has to be something that is whole and something connected to you, especially in this weird day and age where we want to play, in this hypothetical idea that we kind of want to play God and make ourselves, I think I don't know. It's definitely interesting. It's well past our lifetime for sure, I think.
But if you think about it in the physical sense, if you work hard, give your blood, sweat, and tears for, a significant other, if you lose an arm in the process, that arm never comes back.
Sure, in large capacities, but you would have to argue that you would be taking a portion of yourself that, I see it as blood. In the same way that you can't see blood, you are constantly making more. So I don't see it as an appendage. It's something you can't see. It's something inside of you. Why make it something that can be destroyed and not gotten back? I'd rather see it as something where it is something where humans can make more of it. When you feel the loss of someone, you feel it deep inside it. You feel it in your heart, like, in a weird sense, like you feel those things. And I think that's your spirit, your soul taking a hit, getting hurt, and you grow from that over time. You learn to experience that, and through your physical actions and your mental capabilities.
True.
And that's just my view.
Also, I was going to say, in the fact that there's duplicates, are you exactly the same? I would say no. And this comes from a story about twins that were both born. They're born at the same time. They're twins, of course, and they grew up with, let's say, an alcoholic father. By the time they're in their 20s, one of them is an alcoholic. You can ask them, "Why do you drink so much?" And they say, "Well, my father was an alcoholic." You talk to the other twin and say, and by the way, this twin doesn't drink at all. And they say, "How come you don't drink?" And they say, "Well, because my father was an alcoholic."
Right, but your hypothetical for the twin thing is that they both saw the same situation, but differently, because they both were at two different perspectives. However, for a clone, the moment you are cloned, everything you've experienced from that moment, the clone experienced. In their memory, they experienced it too. In fact, to them, they are the same as you. You would have no difference unless you gave them an inferiority idea to go, "You're the clone, therefore I'm the original, I'm better." Whereas the argument is that, well, from the point of cloning on, you are two individual people. You have the same experiences, and those will guide you to potentially make the same assumptions and correlations in your real world, because you've experienced literally the exact same thing. Whereas for twins, that's the two different experiences. Even though they are genetically the same, they are still experiencing those 20 years drastically different, because they are themselves.
Yeah, and they can be at different places in different times.
Yep.
So let's say, like, alcoholic father beats one twin. He can't beat the other twin.
I was just thinking the same thing. Thank you, Gemini. I was like, oh, he drinks because he got beat. And the other one was the good kid. Like,
and
not even the good kid. It was just like he was getting one person was getting the beating at one point in time.
Yeah.
And then the other person got the lesson from the beating, quote unquote, massive quote unquote.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. This is very hypothetical. And,
so if we look at that at an earlier stage, let's say by the point that they are 3 years old, they're pretty much identically the same.
Even then, they're not.
Yeah, no. Even then, you all experience something different. What
Even
if
then,
by the age, what if 6 months, one of them had a cough that got real bad and it was pneumonia, and the other one didn't get it? That instantly changes their experience right away
it
from 6 months out of birth. You are trying to paint a
does.
picture that does make it work for your experience, for what you're trying to explain, but it's too black and white, I would say. There's
But
too much gray within those experiences that changes who a person is.
so the drunk father was a broad spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
But what you said about the 6 months, so in the cloning process, with teleporters and everything, like, you're in your 20s, and at that point, there's a duplicate of you, or you are the duplicate. However it goes, even 6 months from that point is the same thing from birth. At 6 months, it changes those twins as the point it changes you and that clone. So that's what I was going to get at. The drunken father was pretty broad. It encompasses 20 years, but even less than that at the point that you and your twin brother or sister are born, and at the point that you are cloned through a teleport or whatever other process, your experiences will determine other outcomes. And because of that's why I say that at that point you're cloned, you are a different person from the exact duplicate that comes out.
Yeah, but no two people can experience the exact same experiences
Yep.
in the same point in time and space.
Your stance, I think, from what you're saying, is saying like, is kind of what Raph and I. Damn it, Gemini. You know what? First names are like, you can call me Matt. I'm Gringo Matt. I would say that it's the
I mean,
comfort level I have with you guys. That's why I slip into it so fast.
Yeah, it's fine. It's all good.
I think it's more of just kind of talking. You do seem to realize you understand, like, from the moment of cloning or from the moment of birth, that these two individuals that are
they become
hypothetically the
two
same
separate
thing.
people.
Yeah, you do. The explanation you gave definitely does not feed into that reasoning, I would say, just because it was a little convoluted, but I think you are on the same page in that
Yeah,
we as people, the moment if there is the teleporting, or the moment that something else is created in your place or in the same place as you, and you split off from those moments, they are two different people. Even though they
yeah.
have experienced everything, it's James 1 and it's Jameis 1 and Jameis 2.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that one wasn't probably gonna me. I'm sorry.
It's fine. So yeah, you understand what I'm trying to say. I'm not the most
Yeah.
articulate
It's
person.
definitely not articulated well, but I get it. I absolutely I you're on the same page as us, I think. At least from what Raph and I have said. You know what?
So when I was when I was younger and I was looking at horoscopes and zodiacs, I'm year of the rabbit, and one of the things is articulate, which for me that meant you're artistic. My mom read it. She's like, "No, you're not articulate." And it wasn't until a little bit later I realized what articulate meant. And yeah, she was right. I'm not very articulate at all. And Raph can attest from my writings, and you as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I just used his name as well. My goodness, we're just on a failing.
It's first name basis. It's fine.
Yeah.
You guys got to do real digging to find out who we are.
But both of you know I'm not that articulate, and it takes me a while to mentally process what's in my mind and get it out in a very clear manner. It's very, very hard for me.
I think we both have known you for plenty of years to have put that together.
Yes, indeed.
With that in mind, anyone that's holding their favorite beer, wine, or alcoholic beverage of spirits, go ahead and throw it at that like button. And if you're able to stand up and stagger over to your monitor, go ahead and punch that subscribe. I'm going to go ahead and tinkle my winkle. I'll be right back.
He's using that in here, huh? Yeah, tinkle my winkle.
He broke the seal about 30 minutes ago, and now this is his second trip. Yeah. Oh man. So okay, here's a good one.
Yeah.
Was there a horse girl in your school when you were growing up?
So it would be the same one as J Mays. I don't know. I don't think so.
There wasn't a
If there
horse
was,
girl.
I didn't know her.
So there
I
was
didn't know her.
not. There was no girl that was obsessed with horses.
Mm-mm. Not that I mean. Again, if they were different crowds,
Oh man.
I honestly I would not have known. I don't think so. Honestly, I I mean, I was part of the swim team. I did water polo. Like, I do not remember people like that. And I was part of this. Like, when Gnarly and Jay Mays started the freaking anime club. I did that for a little bit, but no, I cannot remember
There's no
a
horse
horse
girls
girl.
in the
No,
anime.
did you?
I had a horse girl. Yeah,
I had a her.
in my high school.
Okay, much clearer, much clearer.
By the way, Gnarly started the anime club. That was
Yeah, that's
all
what I
him.
thought it was. Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
I happened to join because a girlfriend that I had at the time was like, "Oh, Gnarly has a anime club thing. You should go and talk to him about that." And at the time, I didn't know him, and I convinced him I was a prince from Europe for a couple months.
Wait, you've convinced who
Gnarly
that you were a prince,
Yeah.
from another country,
and he
and
believed
he
it?
told his family, and they
You've
told
met
him
Gnarly,
it was
right?
BS.
I have met Gnarly, but I didn't think he was that gullible. Like, really?
Oh, buddy.
This is when I first met him.
Yeah, it was early on. It was early on.
That's amazing.
And at the
Yeah.
same time, well, probably a couple years later, left a used condom in his drawer.
2 years later.
Wait, who? You left a used condom
He
in
did.
his.
Yeah.
He left a
Mhm.
used condom in his drawer.
No.
So, one of our friends graduated. He was a year ahead of us, and he had a hotel party. And he told us, if you're going to do anything, or he actually told us, don't do anything because my parents are next door and blah blah blah. I read things about condoms clogging up toilets, so I took mine.
Why would you
And from
throw away a condom in the toilet?
so, anyways, I don't know why I was still a novice with this stuff. I took my used one wrapped in toilet paper and just threw it in my backpack. I'm like, I'll discard that later. Following that night into morning,
Why
we're
didn't you
back
just
at
throw it
no-
away in the trash?
He doesn't articulate thought well.
That's why I'm asking the questions. I need to know.
and
You're gonna have
The-
to ask.
the-
I'm pretty
the-
sure 17-year-old James.
the graduate just made it clear, no hanky panky at this party. Well, me and my girlfriend did it anyways, and
You
I'm like,
bad
I don't want to leave any evidence. I wrap it in toilet paper, throw it in my backpack, and we go to Gnarly's. And me and Gringo really want to go to bed. Gnarly has another idea. He takes a stick, which is actually a what do you call it for the blinds?
It was a
The
broomstick.
blind
No, it was a
sticky bit.
broomstick.
It was a broomstick?
Oh
It was-
yeah.
I
It was a
thought it was-
broomstick.
I thought it was the stick for the
No,
blinds.
it was one of those plastic brooms without the actual like brush at the end, so it's just a long stick. And he called it the convincing stick to keep us awake and convince us.
It sounds like some medieval torture, man.
Yeah.
Yep. So after a bunch of energy drinks,
We get like our fifth wind at that point.
me and Gringo are sitting on Gnarly's bed,
Yep.
just huddled up in balls, with Gnarly there with that stick pointing at us, making sure we don't fall asleep because he's too wide awake to fall asleep, and he won't let us fall asleep.
Yep.
because he's up, and every time we tried to, he would hit us. We were very, very strung out. So we end up,
He
hey,
decided to retaliate.
well, we end up going swimming in the pool and stuff like that. And I took my bathing suit or whatever I was wearing and I put it on Gnarly's head after I had like been in the shower with it. And he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you back." So while I'm showering a second time, he comes in and decides to pee at me.
Wait, what?
Like open up the curtains for the shower and just start peeing at me. So I'm like, this, like,
Why?
yeah, I'm like this bastard. So I end up
That's like
taking.
90% of what Gnarly does. Is my reaction is why.
So I go in my backpack, I take out that condom that's still wrapped in toilet paper, and I throw it in his underwear drawer all the way in the back. And I get back in the shower and finish off, what I was doing.
Which
He
was
comes
taking a
in out.
shower.
It was just taking a shower.
Okay, good.
That's,
Because
yeah,
it was a little unclear. I just wanted to clarify.
I know that as I said it. So as I get out, all done, he's like, "Where is it? Where's what?"
I was waiting for this part.
He's like, "Where's the poop?" And I'm looking at Gringo, and I know by his face I shouldn't say anything. I say, "I'm not telling you." And he's like,
Because at that point, when he was in the shower, I convinced him that we hid something already.
so he's like,
And
"Jay,
J
where's the
May is
poop?"
like, yeah, without missing a beat, like picked right
I'm,
up.
I'm not telling you. Tell me where it is.
It's
I'm like,
man,
I'm not telling you where it is. Jay, where is the poop? My parents are coming home. I can't have them finding random poop in my house. He's checking the kitchen,
yeah,
the fridge, all
yeah.
the drawers, his parents' room. He's
He's
checking
convinced we put it
everywhere.
in the veggie drawer in the fridge. Like, oh yeah,
He's
checking like
convinced
the
that we.
Oreo, like the thing of Oreos. He's like, where did you guys put it? No,
He's convinced that we hid poop somewhere in his house, and
Yep.
no one told him there was. He
Yep.
just came up with that own assumption that we hid poop in his house, so we let him believe it. Anyways, he never finds any poop and all that, and coming up to our senior year, which
fast
is a
forward
couple.
1 year later or 6 months later. I think
No, no,
it was like the end of the senior year, wasn't it?
no. This started like the first day of summer,
Right.
so
The
this is
before senior year.
right before my senior year.
Yes.
So this is like 2 months later. We're all back at school and everything, and Gnarly's like, "Hey man, something weird happened." I'm like, "Oh, what happened?" He's like, "I was going through my drawers and everything, and I found a used condom, and I never had sex in my house before, and it's just weird." So that's when I break it to him. So for 2.5 months, he had my used condom just sitting in his underwear drawer. Unbeknownst to him, I forgot about it until he brought it back up.
Disgusting.
Oh
And
my
that's what
god.
he gets for peeing at me.
Yeah.
To
We
be fair, I
always.
think that was satisfactory retribution.
Oh, absolutely. Especially for that long, like completely forgetting about it and then having him tell it to us again and being like, oh, that's glorious.
Oh man.
It's like, oh, that's so gnarly.
It's definitely gnarly. It's
It's like, how much underwear did you go through before you finally found it?
Truly.
well,
This has been fun, fellas. I have to take a walk. I gotta go eat dinner.
I can
You
do
know,
it.
us West Coast boys. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's right. You're on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
West.
In 100-degree weather without AC. It's great. I
Why
love it.
don't you have AC?
It broke on Thursday.
Ooh, you don't have anybody to come over?
Oh no, we've had actually people come over multiple times, and every time within a few minutes after they leave, it's dead again. So that we have to wait until Monday now. So it sucks.
Damn.
Yep.
Gee, I wish I was over there. I could probably fix some of the problems. But 4 more days, Gringo. 4 more days. There's a new Dresden book.
I know. I have it. I pre-ordered the audio book because I love me some James Marsters. But I also have the physical book coming in too, so I cannot wait. Do you already have it? Do you already order it?
I have not.
Are you gonna try and read it pretty close to release?
Yes.
Okay, good. We can talk about it next time.
Yes. Also, since you're the best at this, do you want to give us a rant for the week?
I'm the best when I'm drunk at this.
You're not.
All right. Well,
No. It's only 7 over here. It's just now going to 7.
You had 2 hours.
Well, no. I'm sorry. I didn't start at 5. Sorry.
dude,
That's the appropriate time.
I started at noon. I won't lie.
You know, I would say I'm surprised, but I would be lying. All right, guys. I don't know what the rant should be. Think about it in the same way that I didn't know that this was going on today. So maybe throw Gringo a little more information than now.
You should have checked with me yesterday. Exactly.
Checked with you. No. I'm not putting this together. You're putting this together.
It's every Friday.
Wait.
Did you not know?
Oh yeah, what's today?
Saturday, because
what a convenience.
Do you want to rant about this?
Oh, it's already ranting. Are you kidding me? This is a rant.
Go. Let us have it.
That's what's going already. It's already going. You don't have to tell me to go. It's been happening. James, Jameis, fuck it.
We can always mute him, right?
No, you don't have that kind
Sure.
of power. I'm a mod. I can mute you.
That is true.
Oh crap!
Don't you come into my house telling me I can shut up, huh? Even though it's Gnarly's house, But we all live in this house.
Yeah, it's Gnarly's house and we live in it, basically.
I do.
Yeah.
You know what I would love? I would love to get, because I am a trading noob, and I really liked that we added the trading channel last time from just talking about it. I would love to get some of those guys on here to talk about it, because I just got general questions. I would totally kill some time.
Oh yeah, I'm not really big on the trading scene, but
I'd like to a bit more.
you got to check out Wall Street Bets on
Okay.
Reddit.
Okay. Ugh. You had me convinced until you said Reddit.
What other site do
I'll
you use
still
to
do
get
it.
information from random people who have no idea what's going on?
Twitter. No, the same.
What?
I mean, it's the same. And then I get linked to Reddit. Huh?
Yeah. Obviously, Instagram is where you get the
totally.
trading
Right after I'm
information.
done looking at my regular fitness and all the food I'm gonna eat and all that.
Well, Gringo, I thought from our last conversation you didn't want to do this. That's why I didn't bring it up. But if you want to know, I'll keep you in the loop.
Don't I ain't no dog. I don't necessarily come when you call instantly. Okay, you just gotta give me a heads up. I gotta schedule it.
Oh,
Normally
yeah, definitely.
Saturdays or Sundays have been D&D, so this was a lucky pull. I'm usually running my D&D game on Saturday or Sunday.
Oh,
And
man,
normally
if
it's
you put
Fridays,
that on-
but I'll let you know.
If you put that on Discord, then I would play the D&D.
That's how we play. We
Oh,
play
word?
on Discord. Yeah. Because I played with my group in New Hampshire when we were still out there. We were a physical group, and then once we moved it back out here, we went online, and it's been great. Discord's video is, I like it a lot. I haven't tried Zoom, but the people we play with are they're J-Maze technical. That's easy enough. You'll understand that just by saying that.
Okay.
They're not exactly up to modern standards for stuff. So it's like they have one mic against their TV. They're using their TV as their monitor, and we always get reverb. So it's not like it's something that would be enjoyable to record. I've thought about it, but it's still hella fun. It's still D&D. Like I've talked about running like a one shot for like the group or like people that haven't played. I've done it before. I would do it.
Yeah, because I played once, right? And the idea of it's a lot of fun, but I think the dungeon master was not very good because anytime that I offered up a suggestion, he'd just be like, "No."
Well, it depends on. It also depends on like how you're presenting it. If he's just knowing you, that's obviously no. You don't do that.
Yeah, well,
no, but yes, and you know.
The thing is that every time that we stopped in the city, I wanted to go into a whorehouse and have sex with a prostitute. And he wanted to discourage me from doing that, and so he would up the value each time. And I'm like, this inflation of the market is just completely unrealistic, and I don't think that this is a fun game anymore.
Because he wanted you to stick with his schedule.
Did you? Well, no. I would argue that you wanted to role play a whorehouse situation, and he probably didn't feel comfortable doing that, and therefore he didn't want to do that. And you probably didn't have that conversation with him ahead of time, so your assumption that he's willing to word sex with you was probably a hard pass. But you know, just guessing.
That is probably accurate, but I also wanted to find treasure on our mission at the whorehouse, and he should have.
Speaking of whorehouse. Well,
the only treasure you're gonna find at the whorehouse, Gemini, is
gnarly. We were just talking shit about you, and I invited you over to defend yourself.
That's great. That's great.
Apparently, you peed all over Jameis, and then you shit on his face.
Nah, we retold the convincing stick story.
Are you talking about when James tried to pee in my closet?
I've not heard about this pee in the closet.
He did not say that part.
That was probably on Belladonna's. That's a different story.
Oh, that was yeah.
How ridiculous.
OJ Mays.
So
I don't recommend Belladonna to anybody ever
until they're finished.
Yeah, I think I'm still suffering from it sometimes.
Well, luckily my mom's not here.
Yeah, good.
Wait, where are you?
She's actually visiting Puerto Rico.
Yeah, she's in Puerto Rico right now.
Oh, word. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Been what? 2 days? 3 days?
Seems like an eternity.
2 days.
Doesn't it?
2 days.
No, he likes his parents.
No, this is day
I know.
3. Day 3. Yeah, I get along with them really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been running around all over.
Unlike us broken home kids, you know.
Yeah, right?
I like my parents.
You know,
Oh yeah, we're being recorded. I like my parents too.
I like going to my mom and be like, "Do you know what it's like to grow up with two parents that like love me and like are still together? I can't relate to people. Do you know what it's like?
How hard it makes for me in school.
Everyone
makes fun of me for having the perfect life.
You know what it's like growing up in the burbs, man.
Hey. That is offensive because you are just showering oppression all over me.
I know.
So you know, Gnarly and Gringo visited me after I had a vasectomy.
You had a vasectomy?
Yeah, dude, we went to visit him, and he's like, "Hey, you want to see my nuts?"
And frequently, the answer was no.
Oh no, I gave in.
Yeah, and you gave in, and then I was in the area, and so I also got to see James' nuts.
Oh, they were horrible.
It was all
he made it
black
so
and blue.
worse than it was.
Listen, all right. Listen, all right. I feel like at some point in my life, I might go through a similar process.
Oh, I probably will.
So I was like, you know what? Let me just get a little peek at what I'm in for, and
those tiny snips. Oof.
It was all black and blue. But I asked Gnarly, to help me mow the lawn, which he couldn't do, and he said, "Excuse me for growing up entitled." and didn't finish mowing
What do
the
you mean?
lawn.
Couldn't I mowed your lawn?
He did. We all watched him.
I literally mowed your fucking lawn, bro.
Yeah, he was shirtless and everything was
Ungrateful.
bouncing every step, like always.
It was great.
Yeah, but every couple steps he clogged the mower instead of doing it the way I told him, so
It's
it
not
wouldn't
my
get clogged
fault
and shut
that
off.
you had a mower that requires
Gnarly,
like extra
didn't you know
steps.
that you had a foreman to be listening to the whole time? I mean, come on.
God.
Jesus, free labor ain't free, okay?
Yeah, right.
But he's like, yeah, I can do that. But he's like, excuse me for growing up entitled when he
Yeah,
couldn't
bro.
do it.
I don't know what you want from me.
So ridiculous.
That my parents would have me like pick weeds or something, and I would just like take hours doing it. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I'm not. I guess I'm just not good at it. Like kind of like
I've done that. I've done that.
So terrible, so you don't get asked again.
Exactly. That's how you do it.
Oh, you don't want me to clean the microwave? I'll
Yeah,
just
I was
make it even
just
a
about
bigger
to say
mess.
yeah, I would just make a really. How would you make a bigger mess? What could you possibly do?
You throw.
I don't know. I would find a way.
You eat first, and then you use the microwave to eat without the cover that you get at IKEA.
Bro, I've been listening to Office Ladies. Have y'all?
It's
Yeah.
awful.
Yes, dude, I told you about that.
It's good. It's good.
What is that?
Yeah.
Office ladies?
It's Pam and Angela, the actresses,
Oh.
going through the Office episode by they're rewatching it and they're giving like their behind the scenes like what was going on that day, what they could do. It's really good. It's
Apparently,
honestly, it's really
there
good.
was like one of the little things I caught on was that I thought was funny was in the beginning they were parking their own cars in the parking lot,
Huh.
and
Yeah.
and Phyllis wasn't an actor. She just worked there, and then they were like, you would be perfect for this role. Do you want to just maybe try sitting there and trying it?
Yeah, it was a improv to bring her on.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get a lot of behind the scenes stuff. It's really good. What episode are you on, Gnarly?
I don't even know, man. I'm not that far into it. I've just been like,
Are they
listening to
still
episodes
season
here and
one
there.
then?
Probably.
That's a good one. That's a good podcast.
Gnarly, why are you
Good.
talking in such a low voice?
Oh,
Because
hang on.
he's serenading us.
is that
He's ready to
better?
seduce us.
Is
Come
that
on.
better?
Yes, that's better.
Hey,
Okay.
Mrs. Gnarly.
She's not here.
That's why you're
I was hoping she would hear me from the streets of Puerto Rico.
I need you to scream really loud, Gnarly.
Anybody that listens to this thanks you.
Hang on. What's that?
Sounds like you just opened up a 2-liter of cola.
That was the loudest scream ever.
Okay, Gnarly.
I hate
Yeah.
that I laugh.
Did you have a horse girl in your high school?
Did they have a horse girl in my high school?
Yeah, a girl who was unanimously obsessed with horses.
Yeah. We didn't. I don't think we did.
See, I'm thinking horse face.
No,
That's what I was
horse girl.
thinking.
No,
Horse
it's the
girl.
obsessive.
We
I don't
We
think
didn't
we
have
did.
one.
We did
We
have a horse girl.
We
I
did.
didn't know her.
We did have the horse girl. I don't know. I can't remember if she went to our high school or not, but
Well,
It
then
was the
no,
gir-
we didn't. If she wasn't in our high school, then no, we didn't.
I feel
What?
I feel like an asshole for saying this because I don't know her name.
Well, don't say
Um,
don't out her.
We did.
Yeah, man.
And she
All
was-
the people watching this podcast will try to find her.
It was
And she-
it was the girl with one arm.
Yeah, right,
That's
Raph?
what I was going to say. The one missing an
Yeah.
arm
Oh
was
my god, I feel
she
so
loved
bad.
Girl
horses.
missing an arm?
Yeah, she had a prosthetic arm and she
How
hit
does
it
ride a
so
horse?
okay. So get this, she hit her prosthetic arm so well that
How
I had
sheltered are you?
I had no idea that she had a prosthetic arm until afterwards, and I saw a picture on Facebook when she like came out with it, like without it.
She came out to everybody. Guys,
Yeah.
I don't have a
Yeah.
an arm.
Hey, idiots, my arm's fake. That's really the only
Yeah.
out that would be needed.
I hung out with this girl.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
so-
you're,
soon as you
you're
started-
you. That's not really solving the mystery of this.
I did
moment.
too.
I was so oblivious to so much shit. You know what I mean? Like just completely, utterly in my own little zone, on my own little world of
So-
just like,
So I thought the horse girl thing was like, oh, here's a group of hot girls, but there's the horse girl among the group.
Yeah, I'm thinking horse face. Like, oh, what girl had the
Yeah.
horse face?
It's a
You know?
girl who is obsessed with horses. I'm convinced that every high school has a girl obsessed with horses. They'll have a horse binder. They'll only talk about horses. They're any video game that they've ever played is related to horses. Everything is about horses.
Don't you naysay Barbie's Horse Adventures, okay?
I was just about to rip without Barbie horse adventures.
I'm not going to naysay anything, but I'm just saying that's who it was. And I knew a girl. She lived in my neighborhood. She was maybe about 5 or 6 houses up from me. And she was a horse girl, and she would just talk about horses all the time, and be annoying as shit. And she would come over to my house because our parents were friends.
So Gnarly and me, we knew someone that liked horses, a girl with one arm, but it was an obsession.
Yeah, like it was just like a hobby, you know. Like she went horseback riding and stuff.
So my statement still stands. We didn't have a horse girl in our high school.
I guess not.
Not that we knew of.
Right, that we knew. Different, like I said, different cliques, different circles.
Would you believe me if I told you that I did horseback riding in elementary school?
I don't know why it's been 15 years of knowing you, and I'm just now learning this.
Was that in Germany?
To be fair, I just learned that Gnarly thought that Jameis was the prince of some European country.
True.
Like I told you, I was oblivious to everything.
That's not oblivious.
No,
that's
gullible.
naive at best.
I mean, those two personality traits kind of go hand in hand.
What led you to believe that Jameis was a prince of a European country? Did he have an accent for 2 months?
I just kind of let him do his thing, you know.
I can be quite convincing for one night.
I'll say this. All right. It's not that I was full on belief, but I was just kind of I wasn't skeptical. I wasn't I should question him on that. I was like, all right, that's cool. You know, I mean, you're talking about the same people that would go into the woods and practice Kai or whatever the fuck we called it.
Key.
What?
Yeah.
All day Kai.
What is this?
It's literally the energy from Dragon Ball or any of those animes that are we have powers.
Gemini, we literally used to beat each other with sticks after school.
Yeah, we actually, yeah.
We bought these special the Daitos. They were foam covered samurai swords.
Yep.
And we would go out to the pier and literally just have sword fights after school.
Oh, I used to do that. I had a friend, but he bought a wooden samurai maka boat.
Yeah.
Right, and then we would beat each other. And basically, this is in Colorado. And behind the neighborhood was a bunch of rocks, kind of a cliff kind of thing. And so we would go up there, and we would just have it out. It was lots of fun.
How old were you, Gemini?
14, 15.
Okay, same time frame. Yeah.
So we would do this literally right after school. We had them in our with us in class. I think, right?
I didn't go that far. I didn't bring him to class.
I don't think we ever brought him to class. I remember doing it to the convention stuff we tried.
Yeah. Bro, Otaku Con was lit.
Yep.
I wish I was there.
Oh my
god.
It was quite a trip.
That's when I was working at the LAN center, and we had convinced them that they needed to have a presence there. So we brought a bunch of computers there, and I got paid on the clock for 48 hours.
Then you got a room. That's how we stayed, right?
I got a room.
Yeah.
With I'm gonna call it an open bar. He probably got charged for it, but
he probably got charged, but we didn't care.
I was 17, 18 at the time.
No wonder that place went out of business.
Well, they went out of business
than that
because the owners were drug addicts, man.
Word?
Yeah, didn't the owner have a huge coke addiction?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
the white guy.
He's
Yes.
he had me go run to his car to grab something real quick. And he's like, "Yeah, it's in the glove box. Just grab this thing." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And I went there to grab it, and there's just a mountain of fucking coke in this glove box.
Oh my god.
Like there's just a big old fucking baggie of it in there.
And the other guy that was there was everyone thought was a terrorist.
Dude. So people play Counter-Strike all the time, and they would get pissed off and they'd slam the mouse down. Right? He would go and yell at the customers, "Quit slamming the fucking mouses!" To like the kids, man.
I mean, it is what it is. Now there's CS:GO, and it's just angry Russians all day.
Yeah, man.
Man, I
It
have
was
another good gnarly story that is related to that place.
Yeah, let me
Which-
hear it, 'cause I got a few.
which one?
I got a few good.
The reason we couldn't enter that Publix.
I've never heard this story. Please go. Please tell me.
Because he knocked over all the pickles.
No.
That's
Mm-mm.
what I told my mom.
That was the cover
That's what
story.
that was the cover story. That was always the cover story. So we were at that land center, and I think it was just one of the times we had gone in and we had taken like sake bottles from Publix before, and 5-finger discounted them.
Or a shrimp platter.
Or yeah, we did that one too. So
Literally
stupid. So
a
stupid.
whole big ass shrimp platter.
So stupid.
Serious?
Yeah. We did a bunch of stuff. So what the moral of this is, I had never been caught with it before, doing anything like that before, and Travis, I think recently started dating someone, and he wanted to impress them. So we go down the personal hygiene.
Who was Travis dating at the time?
Who is Travis?
Can't say.
Gnarly.
Oh yeah, that's
All
right. Gnarly. Fuck. We're all
See,
exposed.
we're first name basis. It's
And
fine.
we'll call
No
this
one
person-
gives a crap.
We'll call this female Woods.
Okay. Yeah. So he's dating
Wood's not
Woods.
Pier. Okay, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. So we go in and we go down the personal hygiene aisle, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta smell good." So he grabs a bottle of Axe.
Of course.
body spray.
Because you're
Axe body
17
spray.
and you think
And then
Axe smells
shorter,
good.
shorter down the way, grabs a thing of condoms. Unbeknownst to either of us, we're being followed.
Oh my
So
god.
he's unceremoniously just
Bro, they were the good ones,
nonchalant,
too.
just
They were like the-
trying to put it in his pants.
Did you think you were Danny?
So ridiculous. And then as we're walking out, the guy stops us and he's like, "Hey, you two, come over here." And I'm just like, "What?" And the whole time I'm like, "No, I didn't get caught with my friend when he stole Axe and condoms. This does not look good." And so they take us into the back, and they totally scare tactics us. It totally works for Gnarly. The whole time I'm just like, I just gotta grow my hair out some or get a haircut. It doesn't matter. And this whole time though, we're just like, "Oh God, please don't call the cops. Please don't call the cops." Hey, we didn't get the cops called. Thank God. They just were like, "You can't come back here for a year." And I'm pretty sure you held to that year, didn't you? Or close to it.
Oh, I absolutely did. I was terrified of going back
You were
there.
terrified. Yeah, you
was
were.
that the Publix right next? That was on
Right,
184th and Pines, right?
Yes.
It was the one right next to the Outland.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't on Pines. It was on Dykes in Sheridan.
No,
Yes.
it wasn't.
No. It's on the same street as our school. That would have
Yeah.
been, yeah.
Was it the same plaza? It wasn't the same plaza as Outland then.
Not Outland.
It was.
No,
it
not
was,
Outland. No,
it
no,
wasn't
no.
on Pines though.
This
It was
is,
on
we're
Sheridan.
talking, these are pre-Outland days.
Yeah, these are, yeah.
Oh, okay.
This was the first land.
It's the GCOC.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, the GCOC. I see.
Yeah.
And that was
GCOC.
Dykes in Sheridan.
Okay.
I'm glad we're giving pinpoint addresses.
Yeah, I
for
know. We're
people.
definitely getting down to the need. Thank God none of us are there anymore.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry.
when was the last time y'all been back?
Christmas time.
Actually, 3 years ago. Yep.
It's been a really long time because nobody lives there anymore.
Right.
Yeah. So for a while, my parents still lived there, but a couple years ago, they moved out there. I went to visit them probably about 3 years ago or something like that. And I was just in there thinking, man, this is gonna be the last time I have a reason to come back here.
Yeah. The,
You know what I mean?
Well,
It
the
was,
only
it was kind of
reason
sad.
is now is Saburo, but he doesn't live there.
Yeah, yeah. He's yeah.
He
That would
lives.
be
Well,
like a nostalgia while
he
you're
moved.
seeing
He
him.
moved north though.
Hmm?
He
Oh,
moved
he's
north.
not down there anymore.
No, he lives. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He moved.
He
He
lives in
moved
Orlando.
to.
Central Florida.
Yes.
Okay.
Orlando's a big city, J Mays. All right, no one's gonna.
No, he's talking about streets, and he's like Central Florida.
Yeah.
Let's be ambiguous again, guys.
Listen, okay.
We'll have our slip ups.
If he wanted privacy, he should have been here.
That's right. That's right.
I invited
That's-
him. I invited everybody that.
Yo, when y'all hit me up, I was watching a movie. We were watching Grumpier Old Man.
Did you actually invite them, or did you do what you did with me?
I sent a text message or a Discord message to everybody. Hold on, I'm gonna stop the recording, just because I don't feel like limiting myself to first names.